Jordan Belfort is known for being the man that inspired the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, and although his expertise on sales is widely known over the world, some people don't really like him at all. However, it can be really tough to argue against somebody who is on that level of frame control and persuasive techniques overall. In this video, we will break down how the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, was arguing against somebody else and what you could have done if you were in a similar situation facing a really tough opponent during a debate or some argument of some sort.
You think it's such a self-important thing that we actually as human beings, the fucking volcano erupts. Dude, the only thing true about climate change is it's always changing. Always. For the last, how many millennia, right? And yeah, maybe human beings are doing something, but you know what? Something will happen with a volcano will erupt.
I saw that recently on the internet that there's a volcano.
But let me finish my thought though. But here's the thing, it doesn't fucking matter. Because I believe in you should never shit where we should protect the planet.
For sure.
I just don't think it's because of climate change. I agree that they should do everything to bring down gases, all the stuff to protect the planet, but not cause it's changed, because it's responsible to do. I'm totally all for it. I would donate money towards that cause, but not because I think it's bullshit narrative that's been forced on people. And maybe it's true. But there's no way that people really know that at this point.
Well, there's 95% of scientists.
That's a lie.
That say,
no, it's not. It's not true. 95% of the scientists say handpicked. It's just a false statement. So, okay, go check it. It's not true. Okay?
I don't know.
No,
about
it's just
that.
not true. Okay, so it's just not true.
There's a majority of scientists that have evidence that humans
it's not true.
Are amplifying climate change.
It's not true. Go dig into the facts. That 95% is a select group of people that all agree in climate change. That's who they polled. It's not all scientists around the world.
This is like
I promise you,
20,000 plus scientists.
Pal, it's just not true.
And
by the way, if you
got pals, bro.
No, listen.
I like it.
I read up on this stuff. I know my facts and things. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. Here's the story, though. It doesn't matter. I believe that we should do everything to protect I'm a green guy.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
I just don't think it's climate change. It's just who fucking knows?
Just out of moral.
It might very well be right. 50-50 shot.
You're right when you look back and in our history, like we over exaggerate the moment that we're a part of right now. Yes, we're amplifying it. Yes, it's at a very rapid rate of increase of climate change. Absolutely.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is,
no,
man.
it's not.
Yes, it is. No. Look at polar ice caps melting. Look at what our oceans are doing, how acidic they are.
Go read the New York Times article from NASA.
Go to the actual Great Barrier Reef.
Buddy, NASA released
That's where you'll see it.
NASA released a study just last week saying that there's been more buildup of ice sheets than losing. It's increasing. You're wrong.
Can we hold on a sec? Hold on. Let me
go Google it right now.
Let me interject.
It's just not true.
You have to step
I have
back.
friends down in the Great Barrier
Go Google it.
Reef that are showing images
Everybody
of it.
needs to.
Yeah. In one spot,
They're there.
It's increasing, and it's twice as much as increasing.
But that's because of
mass gains
of air. I don't think I should grade the losses. Thank you very much. Don't fucking tell me, pal. Okay, pal.
First of all, before going into anything else, this is not a video here about climate change, so if you had any thoughts or concerns about that, thank you to keep them for yourself. The comment section of this video is no place for that. You can still post it on videos that are specifically about that. That being cleared out, thank you YouTube. Now we can proceed with the video. I know arguing against the Wolf of Wall Street himself is no easy task, even for some advanced communicator. It is still a challenge, so I'm not pretending in any way that anyone could have been doing better here against that specific opponent, but there are still things to know about this. So the guy he was arguing with here is, his name is Spencer something. He was a videographer and a vlogger in Los Angeles back in 2018-19, around where the video was shot. And the reason for breaking down that example is because I know many of you guys watching this have already found yourself at least one time in a similar situation with somebody who was acting like that and you didn't really know how to defend yourself. So basically, how can you react when someone does not let you speak? And specifically, the argument here was already lost by Spencer, the vlogger. It was already lost before it started. It was lost specifically at this moment when he first started to speak.
Maybe it's true, But there's no way that people really know that at this point.
Well, there's 95% of scientists
That's a lie.
that say.
And the reason I'm saying that is because if you look at this ladder coming from the top up to the bottom, it is kind of the ladder of frame control and the ladder of how a conversation can escalate in a negative way. It is always starting from a gentle, polite, nice conversation. It might go into a mild disagreement where you have some concerns about what they say, then a strong argument where you are going to firmly be in opposition with what they said and you want to show them whatever, then a violent confrontation where the voice is rising and now you are almost having like a behavior or a body language that is kind of on the point to fight, and the last unfortunately step would be like a physical fight where the intention is purely to kill each other. Fortunately, this is not happening that often in debates. It would go that far, if your life was at threat, but being a civilian, those situations would probably not arise as many times. The kind of situations you find yourself into the most are the ones, from dark green to blue. Those are what you have to deal with. And basically, when someone feels above, when someone feels in control of the situation, feels like he owns the frame in this social environment, that person does not feel like they have to escalate on that ladder. They don't feel like that. They don't care because they know they are above anyway. So why would they start being aggressive and stop being polite with everybody else? If you are the first one, and this is very important, open your ears. If you are the first one who starts to escalate down on that ladder, that means you're presupposing unconsciously the other person is above you or the other person is a threat to you. And if you presuppose that, how do you think they are going to react? If you put them on a pedestal like this because you see them as a monster or a threat to your ideas, to your opinions, if you were not seeing them as a threat, you would not be overreacting or being aggressive. You would just don't care. And obviously, if one person in an argument starts being aggressive, the other person is probably going to respond in the same way that is normal, the normal way humans interact, unfortunately and fortunately at the same time. But therefore, when the Wolf started expressing his point of view in this video, if you watch the whole video, up to that point, no one had disagreed with him and he was just expressing an opinion. He was not fighting in any way because no one had been bullying him or anything. He was just expressing his opinion. So he was still on the level of gentle conversation there. When Spencer started to say, I don't know about that, there is a fact, he right away put himself, it's only his fault here. He right away put himself in the strong argument because he firmly stated, I disagree because whatever. The problem is he jumped right away on the blue's case somehow. So what did he encourage the other person, Jordan here, to do? Well, he encouraged him to do the same thing, jump right away on the confrontation. Of course you can disagree, no problem with that, but starting to disagree right away in a confrontation, you are putting the other person on the defensive if you do that. The smarter way would have been to question first. Question, can you tell me out of curiosity, what is your source? Where did you learn that? And you start from, where did they learn that? What is their source? And from there you can use a sleight of mouth, you can deconstruct the frame they come from still in a polite way. So it would not even escalate because you are not attacking, you are deconstructing, deframing the position they come from. If you start in a confrontational manner with counter fact, counter evidence, oh, you're wrong because this scientist said that, whoa, the person did not attack you yet. Or not even at all. Like Jordan in that example did not attack Spencer specifically. He did not tell him anything. But Spencer attacked, or I know his behavior was not aggressive, but his language, linguistically, it was an attack because he did not even question. He right away posed a statement, oh, you're wrong. And this is not right because, and he mentioned counterfacts. Starting like that, there is no way the conversation is not going to escalate at some point. It is obvious that the conversation is likely to escalate in a negative way just because you haven't let the other person express and question their opinion thoroughly before counter-arguing. So my big point here is, okay, you can be triggered, some topics you might disagree with them, you might not like it. Of course, it is your birthright to disagree with people, no problem with that. The thing is, if something triggers you to the point of not interrupting somebody and to the point of not letting somebody finish, whereas that person did not even attack you, watch the example again. Jordan did not attack specifically Spencer before Spencer started to refute and debate about the topic. So if you start getting triggered, whereas the person did not even say anything about you specifically, that means something inside you hasn't been handled. And the thing they just said is an echo, or maybe the person itself, himself or herself, is an echo to something you have experienced in your past that hasn't been healed at all, that hasn't been handled at all. And now you're projecting your pain or your anger, your frustration on the person or the topic of the conversation. If you act confrontational with somebody, it is because there was repressed anger inside you, and anger is always or almost always a secondary emotion that happens just after fear. Anger is there to protect you because you were scared of something. Most likely in those situations, it can be the fear of not being taken seriously, the fear of being judged, the fear of injustice. It is not right to do this. If you have any trigger with something that is not right, it is not justice, it means you have suffered in your past, in your personal life, from something that was not right, from an injustice. In that case, this is the thing you need to handle, because as long as you don't handle that thing that happened to you in the past, you will keep putting yourself unconsciously into new arguments and new arguments and new arguments with people who are not even involved in the thing you have experienced, but you will just get into the next fight and the next fight and the next fight without even knowing you have been provoking it. So basically, how do you react and how do you win the argument, or how do you act during those situations? Basically, the battle can be won only before the argument starts, if that makes any sense. If there is a situation that keeps happening in your life, or a type of person that keeps happening in your life that tends to trigger you and wants to make you want to confront people and prove them wrong, if it is always the same situation, or if it is always the same type of people, if it is always a man in his 40s with a kind of testosterone, big look like that, what does that person, please answer that in your head, what does that person or that situation is an echo of from your life, from your personal life? Whenever people want to fight for a big world cause, they always have some inner battle, some inner conflict that hasn't been solved inside themselves. It does not mean, of course, that once you are healed, you shouldn't battle, fight for the poor or whatever. You can do that if you want. It is just that if you do that only from a place of pain and not from a place of wanting to help, it will always lead you to more fight and not even to resolving conflicts in any sort of positive way or to help others. It won't even be meaningful. It will just be to unveil your anger that hasn't been processed, and it won't even be that helpful for others anyway. And if you are from the people who think there is no other way to validate your opinions, your ideas, other than attacking brutally and being aggressive with people, it either means you have a personal beef with the person at hand or with what they represent, with the topic or the agenda, the kind of philosophy they represent, in which case, why do you even argue with that person? Because you have a problem with something deeper and more general than this person, or like you may have a beef with him or her specifically, but in that case, where did it start from? Because I guess it started way before the thing you're talking about right now. Specifically in relationships, quite often this happens. Or it is because you don't feel assertive enough in your opinions, in your ideas to assert yourself, to be assertive without yelling and being aggressive and trying to prove people wrong right away. Why do you need to do that? Why can't you just let them speak and then question their assumptions, question their evidence in a smart way? It's not about being the good or the bad guy in that story. It's about being smarter. Can you be smarter than the other person by deconstructing their frame, using sleight of mouth, for example, deconstructing their frame instead of attacking them, which will do nothing else than making them attack back? And in that situation, nobody's letting each other speak anymore, everybody's interrupting each other, it is leading nowhere. So if you want to develop your skills with that and understand how can you use that, there is a document in the description called the 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. You can download it right away and read based on this document. Notice where you are, where do you stand in this ladder. Are you just a beginner or completely ignorant about those things, or are you already kind of advanced but you missed a few things that still kind of trigger you? In that case, just act accordingly. You can do some healing. Many NLP techniques or hypnosis can help with that, doing the necessary healing to win the battle of your mind before entering a situation where somebody is disagreeing with you, and in which case you will come prepared and you won't be defenseless like Spencer was during this argument, or like maybe not defenseless, but he was definitely not as prepared and as much of an experienced communicator as the Wolf of Wall Street was. So you can just develop your skills. It is something you can learn, no problem. It is down below, and I hope to see you soon in the next video.